Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. A little remark before we start the webinar. Keep your smartphone close. You will need it during this webinar. Let's start our webinar. Accelerate your capping process. This webinar will be hosted by Gracia, Martin, and myself. Gracia and Martin are the sales specialists for the Netherlands. They will demonstrate several capper and recappers. Nick is our marketing specialist. He will be the operator of this webinar. I am Kevin. I am the sales specialist for Belgium and Luxembourg. I will be the voice for this webinar. Which topics will be tackled by this webinar? First of all, we have some webinar remarks. Next, I will present what NBS Scientific stands for. Then we will talk about the next topics: capping tubes or plates, different types of caps, push cappers, decappers, screw cap recappers, and the final topic we want to talk about is the capping of the plates. Some remarks before we start the webinar. This webinar will be recorded. Your microphone and camera are automatically turned off. If you have questions during the presentation, you can ask them in the chat or send us an email. For the people who don't know NBS Scientific, we have a short introduction. NBS Scientific is a distributor of laboratory products. All our products can be found in these categories: collection, handling, managing, and storage of your samples, sample and liquid preparation, preparation of cell culture and medium, and finally, laboratory automation. NBS Scientific has an international distribution network and is active in all these countries you can see here. The core values of NBS Scientific are innovation, creativity, quality, and sustainability. This was a short overview of what NBS Scientific stands for. Before we start talking about the first topic, how do you make your choice? What is most important for you? The product must be cost effective, must give a higher throughput, must guarantee longer storage. So we have a question for you. What method does your team currently use? Let's vote. Grab your phone, scan the QR code on the next slide, and vote what applies to you or your company. Please scan the QR code, or you can join at slido.com and enter the number. So if you see, there are different methods that will be used for capping or sealing tubes and racks. So let's see which advantages and disadvantages have each method. So now it's 50-50 of the two methods. Let's continue. Moving on to the first topic. What are the possibilities to cap a tube? Capping tubes can be done by push caps or screw caps. The push caps can only be used until -80 degrees. Push caps are available in 13 different colors. You can use different colors for different types of samples. The different colors can prevent mistakes in the lab. Push caps are also cost-effective caps. Moving on to the screw caps. There are two types of screw caps. There's the screw cap with the internal thread and the screw cap with the external thread. Both screw caps can be used until vapor phase of liquid nitrogen. Screw caps are also available in different colors and both be used in automated environments. The difference between both screw caps is the material they're made of. Internal threaded screw caps make the tube taller. This means the tube will take up more space in storage. Cross-contamination is less possible with the external threaded screw caps. How can we cap our tubes? Let's start with the push caps. Push caps can be put on the rack with a manual capper and a semi-automated capper. And decapping can be done manually with a single tube or single row decapper. What are the advantages and disadvantages of each type of capper decapper? With the manual decappers, you can decap a single tube or a single row of tubes. An entire rack is not possible to decap with manual decappers. Other advantages of these types of decappers are they are very cost effective, no electricity is needed, ideal decappers for a low throughput lab. The manual capper can cap an entire rack at once and no electricity is needed. This capper is used for medium throughput. It's cost effective, but it takes a lot of manual labor. And finally, we have the electric capper, who can cap an entire rack, but some manual labor is still required. This electric capper is used in high throughput labs. Now, Gracia and Martin will give a demonstration of these cappers and decappers.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. As you can see here, we have the manual capper, the CP400 from Micronic. As Kevin told, it is a capper which doesn't need any electricity. It is just a capper which has different adapters. You can buy these adapters for different types of tubes and different type of brands of tubes. What you do is that you have your tubes in your rack and you put it on the adapter. The adapter, yes, you slide it in. Then you have your cap mats or your push caps. You place them on top of the rack and the tubes, and you slide it in. Then you have the lever and you pull it down, and then you pull it back up again, and your tubes are capped. So it is a really easy to use instrument, but as Kevin said, it needs some manual labor, which is if you do this a lot of times and if you have a high throughput, is maybe not the best option. So therefore, there's also another option, which is the electric capper. That is this instrument here. This is also a really easy to use instrument because it doesn't have any buttons. It is just a drawer that you open. You put your rack inside like this. Then you have your, in my case, a cap mat because I can reuse it. You place it on top and then you close the drawer. When the noise stops, it means it is kept and you can open it again. So yeah, it's really easy to use. And as you can see, the cap mats are now kept. And I can, with some force, I can open the cap mats again like this. So that's how you use these two instruments. We go back to Kevin with the presentation.
Thank you, Martin and Gracia, for the demonstration. We go on with the topic capping tubes. We have seen that we can cap and decap push caps, but how can we cap and decap screw caps? Tubes can be capped or decapped manually with a single recapper. You can also cap or decap an entire row of tubes with a semi-automated recapper. Or if you don't want to cap or decap a single tube or a row of tubes, but you want to decap or cap an entire rack, you can use the automated recapper. Each of these recappers has their advantages and disadvantages. To start with the manual single tube recapper, it's a manual labor. It only can decap or cap single tubes and cannot be integrated in robots. But the single recapper takes no space in the lab. It's cost effective and don't need electricity. Moving on to the semi-automated recapper. This one needs electricity, cannot be integrated in robots, can speed up your capping and decapping process because it caps or decaps an entire row of tubes, and it takes a minimum of space in the lab. Finally, we have the automated recapper. This one also needs electricity, has a larger footprint, but can be integrated in robots, speed up the process by capping or decapping entire racks. Next, we will show you a video where the automated recapper is integrated in a robot. After the video, we will continue with the demonstration of the recappers for the screw cap. Now Martin and Gracia will demonstrate the recappers.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin, for your introduction. First, I will show you the manual decapper for single tubes. It's the CS100. What you can do is it has a sort of bit form on top of the pen. You put it on your tube and you counterclockwise to screw off the caps, and of course clockwise to screw on the caps again. So this is the CS100 from Micronic. Now we show you the CS500. This is decapper and capper for a row of 8. What you see here is a platform. First we have our tubes over here, and over here this is the cap carrier. You can load the unscrewed caps onto the cap carrier, so you will be sure that you won't have mixing of the caps with the tubes from positions. Okay, give me a demonstration of this. So first you go to, for example, row 1 of your 96 plate. You push down the machine. On top here are 2 buttons, unscrew and screw. So in this time we unscrew. When we do, we lift it off, and you see all 8 of the caps are attached to the cap carrier, the capper, and then we go back to the cap carrier and unload them. And over here you have your tubes kept. Of course, it is very easy to attach them back. So you see, then you load your tray in the right position, and then you have a handle over here. You eject like a pipette, and that's how you cap your decap and cap your tubes with the CS500. Thank you, Kevin. Back to you.
And Martin, excuse me, the demonstration. Can you please give the demonstration of the CS700?
I can. If you can switch to the different camera. All right. So over here you have the CS700. This one is with internal thread. So now it's on standby modus. So what we do is push on the touchscreen. So the platform comes out. Then you load your tubes, your rack with your tubes. You push on start. First you have to select which kind of tubes it has on here. In this case, it is 0.75 ml internal thread tubes. So you select over here which tubes and which rack you have. So this time it's already pre-selected. So I press on agree and go back. Then you push on start capping. The machine automatically lowers the capping platform and starts decapping 96 caps in one turn. And there you have it, your whole rack of tubes decapped. What you can do now is load a plate you can load your caps on. So you press on unload screw caps, it's over here. Or you can do this if you want to have more racks uncapped before you start recapping again. And of course, if you want to load the caps back onto the machine, press on cap. It starts capping from the cap carrier. And then the tray comes out and unloads the cap carrier, which is now empty of the caps. So then you can, of course, load your tubes again and press on start capping. And so simple it is. That's all. Thank you very much. So we have our rack capped again and ready to go for storage. Okay, Kevin, back to you.
Thank you, Martin and Gracia, for this demonstration. And the final topic we will talk about is capping racks or plates. A few examples of how we can cap seals. A few examples how we can seal plates or racks. Excuse me. The first one is a vital heat sealer. Heat sealing is a good way to store your samples for a longer period. The seals of vital are pierceable. can be used for PCR with water thermal cyclers and provides protection against sample loss through evaporation. A disadvantage of these seals is that it can only be used one time. The second way to seal a rack is to use the adhesive seals of Ritter. No equipment is needed. The seals are pierceable and every seal can be used one time. These adhesive seals are meant to close your racks for a short period of time. The third way to cap a rack is with the cap mats of Ritter. Also here, no equipment is needed. Can be used for storing samples a longer time, but mainly these cap mats are used to close the racks for a short period of time. The racks can easily be opened and closed with cap mats, and the cap mats are reusable. Now Gracia and Martin will give a demonstration of the Vital heat sealer.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. So here you can see the heat sealer from Vital. It is called the variable temperature sealer, the VTS, which means that you can put in the temperature and the time, which is very easy to use, of course. So here you have the temperature. You can change the temperature from to 200 degrees, and you can put in the time in seconds from 1 second to 9 seconds. And if it is done with the sealing, it gives a beep so that you know that it is done with the sealing. You have different kind of adapters that you can use. Here I put in an adapter for a deep well plate, so you can put in this deep well plate of Ritter. You put it in like this. And there's also other adapters for PCR plates, skirted and non-skirted plates. And they also come with seals. So Vital also has its own seals. They have different kind of seals with different kind of color coding, so that you know which one you have. And these seals have different specs. And there's also always this side up on the seal, so that you never put it on the wrong way. So if you put on your seal, you press it down, and yeah, I can show you. It's like this. Of course, I just took one seal, so it's not the perfect seal for this plate, but I will just show you how it works, and then you can also hear the beep. So I put in the temperature, I put in the time, I will put in 2 seconds. And then you press it down. So that's how it works. So that's it for the heat sealer. You'll get a nice table with it, so that you know all the specs of all the seals, and with all the color codings, and for which kind of plates you can use it. Yeah, you can go back to Kevin, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Gracia, for this demonstration. So this was our webinar, Accelerate Your Capping Process. I hope you enjoyed it. This webinar will also be available on social media. Don't forget to use your voucher. So thank you for your attention. In the next slide, you will find all the contact information of NBS Scientific for each country. Are there any questions?
I'm checking Kevin right now. There's no questions. We can wait maybe 2 minutes. Maybe
Okay.
some people of the audience have some questions. Yeah, your voucher. If you have requested a voucher, your voucher will be sent through you to by email, and we'll make sure that you get the correct voucher. And currently there are no questions. And if you do want to ask a question or ask a question in private, please use one of the contact details we provided here for your specific country. There's no further questions. I think that was it. There's one question coming. The recording of the webinar will we will make a nice video version of it, and then we'll post it online on YouTube, and we'll share it on LinkedIn as well. And you can ask for the link if you contact any of these contact details per country, and then we will provide the link as soon as possible. Okay, thank you everyone. I wish you everyone a great afternoon, and thank you for viewing.